Karen parked her Porsche on my ranch, so I towed it with my tractor and built a fence. Have you ever had someone waltz onto your property like they own it, acting like the rules don't apply to them? That's exactly what happened to me when Karen, in her gleaming silver Porsche, decided my family's ranch was her personal parking lot. What followed was a clash of wills, a showdown of grit versus entitlement, and a lesson in respecting boundaries that she'd never forget. It all started on a crisp Montana morning, the kind where the air smells like pine and freedom. My family's ranch, a sprawling 200 acres passed down through 3 generations, is my sanctuary. I'm a simple guy, call me Jake, living off the land, raising cattle, and keeping the world at arm's length. That peace shattered when I spotted a shiny Porsche Cayenne parked smack in the middle of my north pasture, right where my herd grazes. No warning, no permission, just tire tracks tearing up my grass. I scratched my head, wondering if I'd missed a memo about a car dealership opening on my property. I approached the vehicle, expecting to find someone nearby, a lost tourist. Maybe. Instead, out strutted Karen, her designer sunglasses perched like a crown, her phone glued to her ear. She was mid-rant, complaining about rustic nowhere and no cell service. Cleared my throat. Ma'am, this is private property. Mind telling me why your car's on my land? She barely glanced at me, waving a manicured hand like I was a pesky fly. Oh, relax, cowboy. I'm just here for some photos. This place has that rustic vibe. My followers will eat it up. She gestured at the horizon, as if my ranch was her personal Instagram backdrop. I gritted my teeth. You can't just park here. This is a working ranch. Move your car now. Her laugh was sharp, like broken glass. Do you know who I am? I'm an influencer. I have 500,000 followers. I don't need permission to be here. Besides, I'm not hurting anything. She turned back to her phone, snapping selfies with my cattle in the background. My blood boiled. This wasn't just about a carrot, it was about respect or her complete lack of it. I tried reasoning. Ma'am, you're scaring my herd, and your tires are tearing up my pasture. Move the car, or I'll move it for you. She scoffed, rolling her eyes. Touch my Porsche, and I'll sue you into next week. That was it. I'd had enough of her entitlement. If she wanted to play hardball, I'd show her how we handle things out here. I stormed back to the barn, fired up my old John Deere tractor, and hooked up a tow chain. Karen was still posing when I rolled up, the tractor's engine rumbling like a warning shot. Her eyes widened, but she didn't budge. You wouldn't dare, she sneered, crossing her arms. I didn't say a word, just hooked the chain to her Porsche's rear axle and started dragging it across the field. The car's alarm blared, and Karen screamed, chasing after me in her impractical heels, shouting about lawyers and vandalism. I didn't stop until her precious SUV was parked on the county road, a good half-mile from my gate. You'd think that'd be the end of it, but Karen wasn't done. She called the sheriff, claiming I'd stolen her car and assaulted her with my tractor. Sheriff Daniels, a grizzled old friend who's known my family for decades, showed up an hour later. He took one look at the situation, Karen's Porsche on public land. My pasture-torn Yupan shook his head. Jake, you know you can't just tow folks' cars, he said. But his smirk told me he wasn't exactly on her side. Karen launched into a tirade, waving her phone like a weapon, threatening to go viral with her story. That's when the twist came. Sheriff Daniels recognized her. Wait a minute, he said, squinting. You're that lady who got kicked out of the national park last year for climbing on protected rocks for photos. Karen's face froze, her bravado cracking. Turns out, she had a history of trespassing for clout, and the locals weren't exactly her fan club. Daniels checked my property lines, confirmed the pasture was mine, and told her she was lucky I hadn't pressed charges for trespassing. But Karen wasn't one to back down. She doubled down, posting a tearful video on X, claiming she'd been attacked by a crazed rancher who vandalized her car. She tagged every local news outlet, painting herself as the victim. Within hours, her post had thousands of likes, and a few of her followers started flooding my phone with hate messages, calling me a bully and worse. I don't have social media, but my sister, Ellie, does. She showed me the comments, and I felt the weight of a digital mob bearing down. For a moment, I wondered if I'd gone too far. Then came the showdown. Karen showed up the next day with a news van in tow, a local reporter eager for a juicy story. She stood at my gate, demanding an apology and compensation for her trauma. I stepped onto my porch, my dog Rusty growling at my side, and faced her. "You trespassed on my land, disrespected my home, and scared my livestock," I said, my voice steady but firm. "You want to talk about trauma? Try watching your family's legacy get treated like a photo op." The reporter, sensing the tension, started asking questions. But then Ellie stepped in, me sister, the wild card. She'd been digging through X and found a gold mine. Karen's old posts bragging about sneaking onto private properties for content, including a vineyard where she'd damaged crops. Ellie held up her phone, showing the reporter the screenshots. "This isn't her first rodeo," Ellie said. "She's been pulling this stunt for years." The reporter's eyes lit up, sensing a better story. Karen's face turned red, her confidence crumbling as the camera turned on her. The tide turned fast. The news story didn't go the way Karen planned. Instead of painting me as the villain, the segment exposed her pattern of entitlement, complete with Ellie's screenshots and Sheriff Daniel's account of her history. Her followers started turning on her, flooding her X posts with comments calling her out for trespassing and lying. Her influencer empire began to crack, sponsors dropped her, and her follower count plummeted. She'd built her brand on bravado, but now it was collapsing under the weight of her own actions. I didn't stop at towing her car, though. To make sure no one else got the bright idea to use my ranch as a backdrop, I spent the next week building a sturdy barbed wire fence along the property line, reinforced with no trespassing signs. Every hammer strike felt like a declaration. "This land is mine, and I'll protect it." Karen drove by once, saw the fence, and sped off without a word. I heard she moved to the city after her online empire tanked, chasing a new audience that didn't know her history. Looking back, I don't regret a thing. Karen thought she could bulldoze her way onto my land and into my life, but she learned the hard way that actions have consequences. My ranch is my home, my livelihood, and my legacy. I'll defend it with everything I've got. The fence stands tall now, a symbol of boundaries and the price of crossing them. I'm back to my quiet life, the cattle grazing peacefully, the Montana sky stretching wide above. But I'll never forget the day I took on a Porsche with a tractor and won. So what do you think? Was I right to tow her car and stand my ground? Or should I have handled it differently? Share your thoughts. I am curious to hear where you stand on this clash of principles versus privilege.